We're going to talk about long suffering today. Long suffering is not letting a person cheat on you over and over again to prove that you love them. It's not allowing somebody to physically, mentally, and emotionally abuse you. It's not sticking your head in the sand and accepting bare minimum until a person decides to act right. That ain't long suffering. Let me tell you about what I believe long suffering is in my life. So long suffering is if my man get an illness that is beyond his control. Now, we're not talking about him going out here spreading his royal oats and getting a disease. If my man gets an illness, cancer, something that's beyond his control, long suffering, I'm sticking around. I got you, boo. This is beyond your control. I'm going to stick around till death do us part if I'm married. Long suffering. I'm just breaking this thing down for those in the back who don't understand what long suffering means and uses that term to their advantage. Loss of a job. If my man is at his job and the company downsizes and they give him a pink slip beyond his control, I'm sticking around. That's my man. I know my man is a hard worker. I know he ain't no bum. I know he didn't want to get fired. I know he did his job well. And the company downsized. I'm long suffering. We're going to have to cut back on buying things. We're going to have to cut back on vacations. We're going to have to cut back until he gets another job. Long suffering. We're going to long suffer together because I love you. I understand that was beyond your control. Anything beyond your control in our relationship is long suffering. Not you deciding to make me suffer because you want to go out here in these streets and sleep with other chicks, right? That's not long suffering because you want to physically, mentally, and emotionally abuse me. That's not long suffering. I'm not sticking around for that because you had some trauma in your life as a child that you didn't deal with and you don't want to go to therapy to work on it. I'm not long suffering through your trauma. And whoever don't like me, don't like me. It don't matter to me. I make decisions for myself based on reality and common sense. We're not going to play these games like these celebrities that we see. And I know so many regular people, and I hate to call us regular because we're not celebrities, but that's the only way to distinguish us from them. So many regular people that are going through the wrong, long suffering through a man or a woman cheating on them over and over and over again because they're making a choice to make you suffer. Long suffering through somebody who's physically, mentally, and emotionally abusing you because they're choosing to treat you a certain way because maybe they went through some childhood trauma or somebody did something to them and hurt people, all that. No, we're not long suffering like that no more. We're not going to be Emily and Fab. We're not going to be Neo and Crystal. We're not going to be Danae Jackson and Derek Jackson. These women stayed and long suffered, and I get it. We want our marriages to work. But when these people, these men or women show you who they are and they're choosing to make you suffer, that's not long suffering. And maybe nobody told them. Love does not require suffering. Long suffering is if your person gets sick, gets a cancer, something that is beyond their control, and you stick it out with them because that's your person. If your person loses their job, if your person has an accident on their job, that's long suffering, something beyond their control. But somebody deciding to make you suffer and you have to prove your love by going through what they have control of not to do. No, I'm not doing it. Not at my age. I'm Generation X, honey. We didn't long suffered when we was in our 20s and our 30s. Building with a brother who was coming up. We understood that. Building with a brother who was coming up. We know when we was young, nobody was where we were supposed to be. But baby, at this age, ain't nobody long suffering through none of it. No, we not. Not that kind of long suffering. I've been through a man who cheated on me over and over again, and I didn't have the sense that God gave me to walk away. Because God said, ain't nobody told you to stick around with this person who just ain't ready to be in a relationship. That's you. I've been with a person who's been emotionally and verbally abusive. God said, ain't nobody told you that ain't nowhere in the Bible where I told you to stay with this person. First of all, you ain't even married to this person. Get your whole entire life together. And God ain't never told none of us to stick around with a person until they decided that they wanted to treat you better. No, there's a standard that we must set for ourselves. You ain't gonna treat me like this. That's not long suffering. When people get wrapped up in that and they end up staying with people they ain't got no business staying with.